On the night of February 24th, 1978, a blizzard struck the Sierra Nevada mountains. In the dead of winter, the Plumas National Forest is a frozen hellscape. It is not a place for the living. 4 days after 5 men vanished from Yuba City, a forest ranger found their car. It was abandoned miles up a treacherous mountain service road, far away from where they were supposed to be. But the discovery didn't solve the mystery, it only made it terrifying. The car wasn't stuck, the engine started immediately. The gas tank was a quarter full. 5 healthy men could have simply turned around and driven home. Instead, they did something that defies all logic. They turned off the engine. They stepped out into the snow, without coats, without flashlights, and they walked into the darkness. They didn't run from the cold. They walked into it, and they never came back. To understand the tragedy, you have to understand the men at the center of it. Their families simply called them the boys. They weren't just a group of friends, they were a brotherhood. First, there was 32-year-old Ted Weiher. They called him the Gentle Giant. He had a childlike curiosity and a heart of gold. Ted would wave at strangers on the street just to see them smile. Then, 30-year-old Jack Madruga. He was the responsible one, the unofficial leader. He had served in the army and was incredibly proud of his car, a turquoise and white 1969 Mercury Montego. He never let anyone else drive it. There was Bill Sterling, 29, a man deeply religious and known for his kindness, and 24-year-old Jackie Huett, the youngest of the group. Jack relied heavily on his father and his friends, especially Ted. Finally, there was 25-year-old Gary Mathias. Gary was the outlier. He had served in the army in West Germany and struggled with schizophrenia, but he was currently stable on medication. He was the athlete of the group, a protective force for the others. Despite their intellectual disabilities, they lived full lives. They were the star players of the Gateway Gators, a basketball team supported by a local program for the handicapped. And they had a dream. They had qualified for a week-long tournament in Los Angeles, sponsored by the Special Olympics. The winner would get a free week in LA. For the boys, this was their Super Bowl. It was scheduled for Saturday, February 25th. But first, they had a game to watch. On the evening of Friday, February 24th, the group piled into Madruga's Mercury Montego. They were headed north to Chico, California, to cheer on the UC Davis basketball team. The mood was electric. They were excited about the game, but even more excited about their own game the next day. Madruga told his mom, "I'll be back right after the game." After UC Davis won, the boys stopped at Bears Market in downtown Chico. They bought Hostess pies, cherry and lemon, a Snickers bar, and some sodas. The clerk watched them leave. They were happy. They were celebrating. They got back into the car to make the 50-mile drive south, back to Yuba City. They should have been home by midnight. The drive from Chico back to Yuba City is simple. It is a straight shot down Highway 99. It's flat, well-lit, and takes about 50 minutes. Madruga knew this road. He had driven it hundreds of times. But they never made it to Highway 99. Instead, for reasons that remain the biggest mystery of this case, they took a wrong turn. A drastically wrong turn. They drove past the turn for Yuba City. They kept driving and driving. They ascended into the Plumas National Forest. They traded a paved, flat highway for a rocky, snow-packed logging road in pitch darkness. Why? Did they chase someone? Were they being chased? Or was it a simple mistake that snowballed into a nightmare? We don't know, but we know they weren't alone on that mountain. Hours later, high up on the mountain track, a man named Joseph Scones was fighting for his life. He had gotten his own car stuck in the snow earlier that evening. While trying to push it out, he suffered a mild heart attack. Pain shot through his chest. He retreated into his car, leaving the engine running for heat, waiting for help or for death. Then, around midnight, he saw headlights. A car pulled up behind him. Scones saw it as a miracle. With the last of his strength, he dragged himself out of his vehicle and yelled for help. But nobody answered. Instead of helping, the lights of the strange car suddenly clicked off. Shones was left standing in the dark. He later said he heard voices, then silence. He retreated back to his car, terrified. But the strangest detail came later. In his delirium of pain and fear, Shones claimed he saw something else in the dim light. He told police he saw a group of men and a woman holding a baby. Was it a hallucination brought on by the heart attack? Or did the boys meet someone else on that mountain? The sun eventually rose. Joseph Scones, having survived the night, ran out of gas. In pain, he forced himself to walk 8 miles down the mountain to a lodge. On his way down, he passed the turquoise Mercury Montego. It was sitting right where he had seen the lights. He looked inside, but it was empty. The boys were gone. It took 3 more days for authorities to locate the vehicle. On February 28th, a park ranger spotted the car. It was miles from civilization, deep in the snow line. Inside, police found the remnants of their Friday night. The wrappers from the Hostess pies and the empty soda cans they had bought at Bear's Market were scattered on the floor. But the position of the car didn't make sense. It was stuck in a snowdrift, yes, but barely. The snow was shallow. Police determined that 5 healthy men could have easily pushed it free. Even stranger was the undercarriage. The road up the mountain was rocky, filled with divots and bumps. Yet the bottom of the low-riding Mercury was pristine. Not a single scratch on the muffler. This implies the driver navigated that treacherous road in the dark with extreme care and precision. Or they knew exactly where they were going. The keys were missing. The gas tank was a quarter full, and the passenger window was rolled down. Why roll down a window in a blizzard? They abandoned a working, heated shelter to walk into the freezing darkness of the Plumas National Forest. And they never looked back. The discovery of the car should have been the breakthrough, but nature had other plans. Within hours of finding the Montego, a massive blizzard slammed into the Sierras. Search teams were grounded. Snowmobiles couldn't get through. The mountain was locked down under 10 feet of snow. The investigation was frozen in its tracks before it could even begin. Months passed. Winter turned to spring. The snow finally melted. On June 4th, a group of motorcyclists riding deep in the forest, 19 miles away from the car, stumbled upon something strange. They found a Forest Service trailer. It was a temporary shelter for rangers, but it wasn't empty. A window had been smashed out, and inside, the nightmare was waiting. Inside the trailer, they found the body of Ted Weiher. He was wrapped in 8 bed sheets, lying on a bed, his feet badly frostbitten. The autopsy revealed something devastating. Ted hadn't died immediately. His beard growth suggested he lived for weeks, perhaps months, inside that trailer. He starved to death. But here is the most heartbreaking detail. The trailer was stocked with food. Enough sea rations to feed all 5 men for a year. There was a propane tank for heat, ready to be turned on. They never opened the cans. They never turned on the heat. They sat in the freezing cold, surrounded by survival, and slowly faded away. Why? Ted Weiher didn't die quickly. His beard growth suggested he lived for 8 to 13 weeks inside that trailer. Nearly 3 months. Waiting. starving, just feet away from food. Ted's discovery renewed the search. As the snow continued to melt in June, the forest slowly gave up the rest of the men. The results were devastating. 11 miles from where they abandoned the car, and halfway to the trailer, searchers found the scattered remains of Bill Sterling and Jack Madruga. They were just bones, scavenged by animals over the winter. The autopsy concluded they likely died of hypothermia near the roadside not long after fleeing the car. They never made it to the shelter. Just 2 days later, Jackie Huett's own father joined the search. He found his son's jeans lying near some manzanita bushes close to the trailer. Jackie's remaining bones were found nearby. That left only Gary Mathias. His tennis shoes were found inside the Forest Service trailer. Ted Weiher was actually wearing them when he was found, but Gary Mathias was gone. Despite massive searches, no trace of him has ever been found. Did he try to walk out for help? Did he wander off in a psychosis? He simply vanished. Decades later, the why remains agonizing. Why drive into the mountains? Why abandon a working car? Why did the three who made it to the trailer choose to freeze and starve rather than open a can of food or turn on a heater? Was it fear? Was it a medical crisis? Or something darker out there in the woods? The silence of the Plumas National Forest has kept their secret for over 45 years. The hardest part of the Yuba County Five story isn't just the tragic ending. It's the absolute lack of answers. It defies logic. Was it a collective panic triggered by Gary Mathias missing his medication? Did they witness something terrified them into the woods? Or was it simply a cascade of fearful human errors in the dark and cold? Whatever happened that night, 5 families lost sons and brothers in the most agonizing way imaginable. They went out for a night of fun and walked into an enduring nightmare. This case has obsessed internet sleuths and real detectives for decades. Now, I want to know what you think. Which theory makes the most sense to you? Why did they starve in a cabin full of food? Let me know your theories down in the comments below. If you found this deep dive compelling, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more strange history and unsolved mysteries. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.